Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode of Youthful Expressions. And based on the title below, you know what, well, you have an idea of what this video will be about. So I decided to do a video on my journey to Christ and then include a little bit of my journey with Christ. So that's what this video will be about. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope it will inspire somebody, and that somebody, based on what I've been through, based on how God has been working in my life, will take something from that and understand that God can do it for you too. So let's get into it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our YouTube channel, Youthful Expressions.
Ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishila.
So I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible, and I'm going to try to be as transparent as possible. Now, growing up, my mother was a backslider, but one thing for sure that she ensured is that we are at church every Sunday and we're in Sunday school. Our consistency started to deplete after a while, but I will get there. But we started out good, as in going to Sunday school every Sunday, and I was so consistent and so enthused about Sunday school and all of that, to the point where I was winning gifts and everything for knowing my Sunday school lesson and everything. As I said, my mother wasn't a Christian at the time. Gradually, as I said, our consistency, my sister and I, it started to deplete. My mother has 5 children, but only 2 of us. That's my sister that came before me, or that comes before me. We grew together. Everybody else, big, grow up, migrate, everything. So it was just my sister and I who lived with my parents at the time. So it started to deplete, as I said. We weren't so consistent anymore. We started missing a lot of Sundays. Not that we wanted to, or my mother just didn't send us to church. We, at a point, because I did not grow up in a rich family. At one point, it was like a struggle because we couldn't even find clothes to wear to church. I remember my sister and I having 2 new suits, and we wore those suits Sunday after Sunday after Sunday until it started getting tight, until we didn't have anything else to wear. But one thing with my mother, she's a working woman. She tries her best to ensure that, we don't look the worst, and we go to church when we can. So we were falling back at one point. But one thing I love about my mother is that even though she was a backslider, certain principles she instilled in her children. As big as we are today, she still ensures we know God and we still stay close to God. As big as we are today. And I have to give her respect for that. Moving on, let's move up to high school, because I don't really remember so much about primary school. The period where we didn't have so much to wear to church and all of that was in primary school days. Moving to high school now, I started getting better. Going church, going to young people's service, doing this, doing that. I spoke about my healing from cancer, and this was when I was in grade 8. I wasn't yet baptized. I wasn't yet a Christian. And even after I got my healing, I did not give my life to God. My pastor, Elder Delroy Williams, at the time, he was the Dean of Discipline at my school, Yorkcastle High School. And he would see me after, even before I got my healing, he would have always encouraged his young people. And that's one of the things I really admire about him. He works with his young people. He looks out for us. So after my healing now, and all of that happened, I would see him on campus sometimes, and he would stop me and ask me, Sharona, when are you going to give your life to God? When this, when that. And many times I remember seeing him and trying to hide because I know what he's going to talk to me about, and I really wouldn't want to disappoint him, telling him I'm not ready and all of that. I remember one day, this was about grade 9 now. Was it grade 9? Well, this was about grade 9 now. He called me and we were talking in the staff room, the lower staff room for persons who know your castle. So that's the top staff room in the lower hall. I don't even remember if that's what they call it. He called me in there and we spoke for a while. And he was like, Sharona, God loves you. God has done this for you. God has done that for you. He was just there encouraging me. And to me, I really love that. I really love that because it doesn't matter where he was, God comes first. So if he had to witness to me at school, on the job, he was going to do it. And he did not care. So I really love my pastor for that. If he wasn't so consistent, along with other church members too, if they weren't so consistent, maybe I wouldn't be here today because I wouldn't have anybody talking to me, anybody encouraging me, anybody, calling to check up to see how this is going, how that is going. So I really love that. But during that time, I don't even know why I was not ready to give my life to God. At that time, I was consumed with the things of the world because I did not want to conform to some of the rules of the church. So I was there listening to other people about things, and I wouldn't want to grow out my cream hair. I wouldn't want to stop wearing pants and this and that and all of that. So I was still attached to worldly pleasures then, so to speak. And he would, as I said, he would take his time out to encourage us and to do all he can. Moving up now to grade 11, that's where I got baptized. Finally got baptized, and on the night that I got baptized, I think it was about 6 or 7 of us from my church that got baptized that night. Oh, that night was so good. It was a rejoicing, and it was just pure joy. I remember getting baptized and going to school the next day, just wishing that God would come because I feel so pure and holy now, like I'm walking on cloud 9. That's how I felt at the time. Oh, I just step on top of the world now. I'm just saying to myself, I just wish God would have come now, because I feel ready, not knowing that it took more than that, or it takes more than that. And even after being baptized, I was still conforming to the things of the world. Meaning, still never want to give up certain things. Still never want to stop wearing the pants and, the cream here and everything. But over time, or eventually, I got to understand certain things, and, God started revealing certain things to me. Evangelist Cardinal, who is our youth president, she was there all the time. She's still here now. She has always been the type to really, take your time and do this, take your time and do that. You won't change overnight, you won't do this overnight. And I really appreciated that, because at that time I thought I needed to change in the blink of an eye or overnight. I needed to get things right in the snap of a finger, and that was not happening. So I took my time, and eventually I started changing some things. Graduating from high school now, going to college, I started growing out my cream hair, going back to natural hair and all of that. And I went to college as a nice Christian girl. And parents, let me just say, if you have kids, if you have children that are off to college, off to university, that are in college and university, please pray for them, because you don't know the different spirits that are latched on to them. You don't know the different persons that they meet, the persons in their environment that they are influenced by, the things they see, the things they hear, just about everything. Please pray for them. So as I said, I went to college as a nice Christian girl now. Go college now, it's a 1 foot in, 1 foot out situation now when it comes down to my Christianity. So I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or as the Bible calls it, I was lukewarm. So I wasn't stable. I was not stable throughout my college life. In the back of my head, I was saying, I just need time to get over this. I just need time to get over that. I'm not gonna change in overnight. I'm not gonna change, in the next minute, or I just need time to change certain things. And that's a mistake that all of us make, and that's something that all of us use as an excuse. But what we need to understand, the term "you will not change overnight" doesn't mean, or it means that you need to give yourself time to, grow into certain things. It doesn't mean that you're going to be complacent, you're going to be comfortable with your situation. No. So it doesn't, at that time I was saying to myself that I only needed time. I did not need time. I had enough time. I was just being very disobedient. And I was lukewarm, as I said, very much unstable. But I am happy that even throughout all of my mishaps, all of my slip-ups, I still felt guilty about everything that I have ever done. And you can ask my friends. If I am somewhere that I'm not supposed to be, I would feel so uncomfortable, and I let my friends know. If I'm wearing something that I know I'm not supposed to be in, I'd feel so uncomfortable, but I still went ahead and I would wear whatever, and I would go wherever, and I would do whatever, and even though I know these things are not of God, and God, is not happy about these things, I would still do them. But in the back of my head, I feel so guilty. My conscience would kill me. And leaving college now, going into university, I went to the University of Technology. And when I went to Kingston, before moving to Kingston though, my Christian life was getting back on track. Somehow, my Christian life was getting back on track. So I went to university now again, back in church. Good Christian girl and everything. At university now, trying my best to stay stable. I lived in an apartment with all of my college friends, so we knew each other. And none of my friends are Christians. Not one of them at the time. None of them are Christians, so it was just me alone, struggling here and there. I'd be home at nights. Remember, I'm at university now, so so them have college rave, them have party here, so party there, so, and this is Kingston we're talking about. Them have club here, so club there, so, and I'll be home. I remember being home a lot of weekends by myself, because my friends would go out to these college parties, and they would go here and they would go there. But I didn't feel guilty at the time. Guilty meaning I didn't feel some type of way knowing that my friends are all gone and I'm here alone. I felt okay with it. But then over time, it started affecting me. Knowing that I can't do anything because my friends are not Christians, and I don't have anybody to do this with me. I don't have anybody to do that with me. I started feeling some type of way. So I started feeling some type of way about it. And I kind of started to crave the things of the world again, because I felt alone. But one thing I can give my friends props for, they never pressure me. Never, ever pressure me. Because they understand that I am a Christian and what I stand for and what I go for. So they have never influenced me to do this or to do that. It was always my choice. It was always up to me. Even when I would do something, well, not really party or whatever, even when I would do something that is not of God, I have a specific friend. Her name is Kristen. She would always say to me, Sharona, I am so disappointed in you. Remember, I said my friends are not Christians. I was probably the only one at the time who was a Christian. She would say to me, Sharona, I am so disappointed in you. I cannot believe you would do that. I cannot believe you would say that. And, it would strike something in me to say that, wow, somebody's really looking out for me. Like one of my friends, they are really looking out for me. And after we settled in Kingston now, moving from first year to second year in university, we got to hang off the place. We got to hang off Kingston. So we're roaming the streets now and we're up and about. I was never a party person. So I was never partying every Friday night, every Saturday night. Because even though I wasn't steadfast, I wasn't in church, I still was a God-fearing person. So certain things I still would not do. Or if I do them, you wouldn't find me doing them a second time. I mean, I had my struggles with certain stuff that I could not get over. I kept doing them. And every time I do this particular thing, I say I wouldn't do it again. I find myself doing it the next 5 minutes, and I find myself doing it the next 10 minutes. So I had my struggles in particular areas. But when it came on to certain things, I couldn't do them. I felt so uncomfortable. And if I would go to a party this Friday, I couldn't go back tomorrow because I would feel so bad in myself. And I pretty much came out of church. So I am now a backslider in university. I wouldn't regard myself as a Christian, or I would not regard myself as a Christian under construction, because I don't believe, this is not me judging anybody. Yes, Christians can struggle and need deliverance from a particular situation, or need help in a particular area, but you cannot be a Christian and you're out partying and say you're struggling. Cannot be a Christian and what else? You name it. You cannot be a Christian and doing the things of the world and just say you're struggling. That's not a struggle. You cannot have one foot in, one foot out. You cannot be serving two masters. So I considered myself a backslider at this time. No, I remember even coming down on weekends, even before university, and my youth leader at the time, she would be so discouraged because she tries her best to encourage her young people to have us stay on the right track, and we keep doing our own thing. We keep falling away. We keep turning our back and going back to old things. And it would kill me inside sometimes to know that, she has been trying so hard and we can't stay focused. And even sometimes, for example, I know I'm not supposed to wear the extensions, and I remember walking in church one Sunday in this long braid down my waistline or below my waist, and I could see the disappointment on my youth leader's face at the time. I was like, wow. But one thing for sure, through all of this, I have always been a God-fearing person. I've always been a God-fearing person. And even when I was out there doing what I was supposed to do, I ensured that I maintained certain principles and my integrity. I don't go below certain standards. So I wasn't the worst of the worst. I wasn't doing anything out there that you would regard as too much. But, I still wasn't living up to standards, my Christian standards. I still wasn't living up to par. Still wasn't living up to my doctrine. And it would kill me. I remember too, sometimes I would see a particular person or a group of persons then who I know, they are Christians and they're in the church. I'm talking about young persons now. And I would emulate those persons, saying, I want to be like such person. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to pray like this person. I want to be able to, live a life like this person. And sometimes I'd say to myself, I don't know how these persons, I remember young persons, I don't know how these persons live a Christian life and remain consistent, and they're just so perfect in my eyes. Because I was there saying, I struggle with this. Is when I think I've taken a step forward, it's like 10 steps back. No progress. Nothing is happening. And it would bother me because I'm saying, what is it that I'm not doing right? Why is it that I can't just give up certain things and just say no, turn a blind eye, and just focus on God? So, as I said, I used to emulate these persons, and I wanted to be like these persons so bad. It would kill me sometimes to see things happening in the church, and I can't be a part of it because, you know, I'm not a Christian and I'm not living up to par. And I wouldn't want to be a part of it because one thing about me, I as I said, I'm a God-fearing person. I'm not a hypocrite. So if I know I'm not living right, I will not be doing certain things, and that's just me. I couldn't be a part of these things, and it would kill me. And even sometimes when I'm at university, my friends, you know, we'd have our prayer meetings here and there, and I would lead, and my friends would say to me, Shirley, you need to be a pastor. Shirley, you need to be a this, you need to be a that. You know, and I would feel good in myself. Not that I'm doing it for a show, but I would feel good in myself that they actually see my potential. But then there's a part of me that's saying, Shirley, you know your potential. Why are you out here wasting time? Like, you have so much things you could do for God, and you have so much things that God wants you to do. Why are you out here wasting time? But as I said, it's just time. I don't want to say I regret all of those things, because if it wasn't for some of those things, I would not be the person I am today. I mean, many persons don't know. A lot of persons don't know. None of my friends don't know, and we lived together for 3 years in Kingston. We're always living together in the same apartments. And none of them don't know. My parents don't know. My siblings don't know. Only God knows how many nights I've cried while going to university, while going to college. How many nights I've cried and how many nights I've prayed when I sit and examine how messed up my life is and where I want to be. And it's like I cannot get there. And it's like I will never be there. And I would sit and I would cry so many nights. I would cry myself to sleep, and nobody knew this. No one knew, because I love the Lord. I love God. I love God, and I love the feeling that I get when I'm in His presence, and it's like my life is just going backwards. There's no moving up. There's no progress. There's no nothing for me when it comes on to my salvation. This minute I'm in, the next minute I'm out. This minute I'm in, the next minute I'm out, and that's how my life was. Back and forth all throughout my college and university life. That's how my life was. And I couldn't understand how these young people, even when I was in university and I used to go to UCAM, I couldn't understand how these young people could just live their Christian life, and they seem so perfect, and you know, they boast in God without shame. And they would talk about Jesus, and they would walk the campus and do this and do. I'm like, how do they do this? This is what I want to be doing, but I can't do it. And I can't find myself doing any of this. Every time I try, it's like makes no sense, because I'm back to square one. And my youth leader would always say, and she always remember like asking me to pray in youth meetings, and I would say I can't pray, or I would say I'm gonna pray in my mind, or something of that sort, and I would shy away from things, and I wouldn't want to do this and I wouldn't want to do that, and all of that. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't progressing any at all. I just have to leave it at that. I was not progressing. And coming up now to where I am now, many nights, you know, many nights I even would call my friends, or I'd call my sister, my other sister, who I grew up with. I'd call her and we talk, or I just talk to myself, and I would just say, or I would just think to myself, I cannot believe that this is me. I cannot believe that this is me. I cannot believe that this is me. So many persons who I don't even know have messaged me on Facebook, on Instagram, WhatsApp persons who I see every day, the church I go to, my home church, Retreat Apostolic Ark. So many persons have looked at me now and say, Sharona, you inspire me. Sharona, I want to be like you. Sharona, I want to be able to do this. You're so bold. You're so outspoken. You know, you're so radical for God. And I love that. When I think about, or when I get those messages and when I get those compliments, I sit and I think to myself that, Sharona, I cannot believe that you would be getting all of this now. I cannot believe that I am where I am now. And I am giving no credit whatsoever to me, giving no credit whatsoever to myself. It's all because of God's grace and God's mercy. So many persons out there have turned their backs on God once, and there are no more. And I have gotten chances upon chances, because many believe that when I got my healing, bam, would I drop in a church. But that didn't happen. God has been good to me. God has waited patiently for me, and I truly appreciate that. I truly thank Him for that. Nothing that I do now, my boldness, me being outspoken, me being radical for God, I owe it all to Jesus. I owe it all to God. Persons won't understand my love for God. It's not even because of my love for God why I'm here. It's because He loves me why I am here. But persons don't understand my love for God, and persons don't understand. No, when I say that there is no looking back, there is no looking back, because I know how hard I had to fight to get where I am today. I know how hard I had to fight to get where I am today. How hard. And the things that used to get me out, are the things that used to cause me to sin. When I look at those things today and realize that they can't even come close. Sorry guys, I'm getting emotional, sorry. When I look today and think about the fact that those things they don't even faze me anymore, I have to give all thanks and adoration to Jesus.
What shall I render to Jehovah? For He has done so very much for me.
Christ. You know, all my life I've been wanting this, and not only this, because I want to go higher. There's no stopping for me. There is no stopping for me when I look at the fact that I can stand up boldly without fear. I mean, anxiety takes over sometimes, especially if I'm put on the spot to say something. I know the human nature side to me would get anxious, but the Spirit of God that lives in me, it will not allow me to sit down and shut up. When I realize that I can stand up and boldly speak about God, and go anywhere, and I am not afraid anymore to say I am a Christian, and I love being a Christian. It's a joy being a Christian. I am just amazed. I am just amazed. When persons can look at me, persons who I myself initially said I wanted to be like those persons. When I see those, you guys wouldn't even believe the persons who message my phone. You guys wouldn't even believe when I can look at those persons. When those persons can look at me now and say, Sharona, I admire you. Sharona, I want to be like you. I didn't know. It's not like I try. I don't try to make persons like me or love me. I just do. This is just me. I just do what I gotta do. I don't believe in giving half or 70% or 80% when it comes on to the things of God. Like, just give your full, give your 100%, and that's what I do. That is what I try to do. That is what I try to do. I try to live, and I am so passionate when it comes on to young people, because I know how hard it can be for a young person to live a Christian life. I know how hard it can be, especially if it's something that you really want to do, but it's like it's a struggle for you. I know how hard it can be. So I am passionate when it comes down to young people. So I try my best every day. I don't try for persons. I don't try to make persons love me. Persons just love me. I don't try to do that. But what I do try to do is ensure I live a life that is pleasing. Ensure I live a life that can be an example to somebody else. Ensure that whenever I get up on a Sunday to testify, I am that same person right throughout the week. I ensure that when I open my mouth to speak to somebody about anything, I can speak to them from experience because I know what it feels like. So, growing up, and again, I have to give respect to my mother. I have to give respect to my mother because she ensures that her children knows the Lord. I have to give all respect to my mother, and I have to give respect to my pastor, and I have to give respect to Evangelist Connor and all my church people. I will never, ever, ever, ever try to disrespect a church member or try to disrespect my church family. I don't care how anybody else feel. But for me, they have been behind young people 100%. They try their best to help. For the ones who speak down on young persons, I don't know about them. But for the ones I know that try their best to uplift or hold our hands, I can speak on them. And I am truly grateful for them. I am truly grateful for them. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be here. I would have no help. And I am determined to go all the way for God. All the way for Jesus. All the way for God. All the way for God. Many times the enemy will, show up because he's the devil. He has to do what he has to do. I cannot stop him. And so many times he will try to show up and try to stop this and try to stop this and try to stop that. But one thing I know for sure that the enemy knows is that I have a purpose on this earth and he cannot kill me unless God gives him that permission. So I am not perturbed by what the enemy will try to do. All I have to do, all I sure know how I have to do is stay focused on God, is make myself available. And so I have along with the other hosts of this channel, we have come together to use this platform to reach out to as many young persons as possible. And we want to use other platforms too to help young persons. I heard somebody saying yesterday, we're always saying that the young people are the future, young people are tomorrow. But really and truly, young people are now. We are now. I don't want to wait until I can barely move, I can barely walk, I need help to do this, I need help to do that, to start praising God. Now I want to give God my all now when I'm young and hearty, and I can run up and down, and I can shout, and I can speak to people. And like young people who are Christians, we have an advantage. Because when an older person goes to a young person, like trying to minister to them, it's a 50-50% chance that young person will listen. But when another young person can minister or witness to another young person, it does something to them. Or when you can live a life that is regarded as an example, a good example for a Christian, it does something to them. So let us use that plus that we have young people to get other young people. And I hope and I am praying that somebody will understand that if I can do it, as I said, it's not I who did anything, it's God. But if you make yourself available for God to use you, then He will use you. My youth leader always says the only ability that God uses uses his availability. So if you make yourself available, then he will use you. That's all he wants. You don't have to be intelligent. You don't have to be outspoken. You don't have to I don't even know. You don't have to can sing. You don't have to can play the guitar or whatever. Just make yourself available and God will use you. You will be surprised at the things that you will be able to do. And it's not even in the moment that you realize that you are doing a particular thing. It's after it's done and you sit back and think about the goodness of Jesus. Then you will realize that God is a merciful God. God is a gracious God. So I am praying that I would have touched somebody's heart. And also that somebody would make that bold step to say, yes, I am ready. Yes, I can do it. Yes, somebody is praying for me. Yes, somebody is here to hold my hand. I am here to hold your hand. I don't know some of you who comment, who make comments, or I don't know most of you who have subscribed, but I don't care who you are or where you are. I am ready to hold your hand. I am ready to pray for you. I am ready to pray with you. We all are the host of Youthful Expressions. We are here to pray for you. We are here for you overall. And don't you worry about anything you have to achieve in this life, whether academically, whether material things, wife, husband, children, house, car, whatever. If you seek God first, everything else will be given unto you. Blessings will overtake you that you will not be able to contain them. And I can speak on that. Remember, I said in the first part of the video that my sister and we couldn't find church clothes. No, this is my closet behind me. No, this is not me bragging, but it's just me talking about how good God has been. We couldn't find church clothes. And now, if I'm supposed to go to the supermarket, I'm probably have to put on one church dress. Because I have church clothes now, like rights grade. Church clothes that can't even fit me. Church clothes I'm only wear one time. Because God has been good to me. So don't you worry about anything else. Just give it all to Jesus. I pray your soul has been blessed. And I pray that you will make that bold step today to say yes to God and never look back. God bless you all. And we'll see you in our next video. Ikayalami ilondoloze